UA High had drills for everything. Fire drills, villain drills, rescue drills, even drills for unknown quirk accidents. But nobody had a drill for the sky breaking open. Shota Aizawa stood at the edge of Training Ground Beta, with his capture weapon wrapped loose around his shoulders. His eyes followed his students as they moved through a rescue exercise. They were supposed to practice clearing civilians from a fake danger zone. They were supposed to stay calm. They were supposed to learn. Then the air above the city made a sharp, wrong sound. Aizawa's head snapped up. A thin line appeared in the sky. It looked like a cut. It widened fast, like someone was pulling two invisible walls apart. White light poured out. The wind changed direction. Dust lifted off the ground in a sudden swirl. The students froze. Midoriya Izuku felt his stomach drop. His brain tried to do what it always did. Find a reason. Find a pattern. But the light didn't look like any quirk. It didn't look like warp gates either. It was bigger. Stranger. Like the world had made a mistake. The line burst open. Something fell out. Not something. Someone. 6 shapes, dropping hard, spinning in the air. A dark figure in a cape. A tall figure in bright colors. A woman with shining armor. A man in red moving like a blur even while falling. A bulky figure with metal parts. Another large figure with a heavy stance. They were falling toward a busy street beyond the training fences. Cars. People. A small footbridge over a canal. A light rail track. Aizawa was already moving. "Everyone back," he barked. "Stay behind the barrier. This is not a drill." He sprinted. His mind ran through options. His quirk could shut down quirks. His weapon could bind. But he had no idea what those people were. The falling group hit the air like a storm. The man in red twisted mid-drop. For one moment, he smiled like this was almost fun. Then he vanished. Midoriya blinked. What? The red blur was suddenly everywhere. Midoriya's eyes could not track him. People on the street below were lifted off their feet, not by violence, but by speed. In less than a second, civilians were moved away from the rail line, away from the bridge, away from the street corner, where a fuel truck was skidding. They were placed on a safe sidewalk in neat rows, like someone had lined them up on purpose. Some people screamed anyway. They had no idea what had happened. They just knew they were suddenly somewhere else. A shadow passed over the street. The man in blue and red caught the fuel truck with both hands. The truck was still sliding. The tires smoked. The whole thing should have crushed the corner shop. Instead, it stopped dead. The man's boots dug grooves into the pavement. His cape snapped in the wind. He turned his head, and his eyes moved across the area like he was counting every person. "Everybody, listen to me," he called, voice steady. "Move away from the vehicles. Stay low. Help each other. You're going to be okay." His voice didn't sound like a hero doing a speech. It sounded like a man who truly believed it. Midoriya's mouth went dry. That strength, stopping a truck like it was nothing. That speed, clearing people faster than a rescue team. Aizawa reached the fence line and looked down at the street. His fingers tightened. The armored woman landed next. She hit the ground with a clean, controlled impact. No stumble, no panic. She stood straight and scanned the area like a soldier on a battlefield. A figure in black landed without a sound. Aizawa didn't even see him hit the ground. One moment he was falling. The next moment he was just there, half hidden behind a street sign, already watching the crowd. The metal man landed hard, but he absorbed it like his body expected it. Lights flickered on his chest and along his arms. His head tilted, as if he was listening to something nobody else could hear. The last man landed like a heavyweight. He bent his knees, then rose with the calm of someone who had been in storms before. For a few seconds, everything was still. Then a piece of debris from the skater, A chunk of cracked, glowing stone fell toward the canal footbridge. The man in blue moved first. He was up and under it, palms open. He caught it. The stone was bigger than a car. His arms didn't even shake. He lowered it carefully onto the empty street, as if he was placing a fragile box. Aizawa's eyes narrowed. His instincts screamed that this was too much power to ignore. He dropped from the fence line to the street in one smooth motion, landing in a crouch. His scarf snapped out, ready. "Stop," Aizawa said, voice cold. "Identify yourselves, now!" The man in blue turned. His face was open, not hostile. He lifted his hands, palms out. "We don't want trouble," he said. "We're not from here." Not from here could mean many things. Foreign country, hidden organization, villain group, another city. But Aizawa looked up at the tearing sky and believed, for the first time, it could mean something else. Aizawa's gaze flicked to the red blur man, now standing beside a group of shaken civilians. The blur man waved at a kid who stared at him with wide eyes. Then the blur man looked back at Aizawa and gave an awkward, friendly half-smile, like he knew this part would be hard. The metal man's voice came out low and rough, like he didn't trust his own ears. "The energy signature is still active. The breach isn't closed." Aizawa didn't know what energy signature meant in this context, but he knew what breach meant. Midoriya, still behind the barrier, whispered to himself, words tumbling out. "Not quirks. Maybe not quirks. Is this like a different power system?" Bakugo shouted from behind him, furious and excited at the same time. "Quit mumbling, Deku! That guy just stopped a truck." Todoroki stared up at the sky tier, face unreadable. "This feels wrong." Aizawa took one step forward, his eyes locked on the man in blue. "Sit. Hands visible. No sudden moves," Aizawa ordered, "until I know what you are." The man in black moved a fraction, not aggressive, just ready. The man in blue nodded once. "Okay," he said. "We'll cooperate." He sat right there on the street, as if he was sitting in a classroom, not in the middle of a crisis. The sky tear crackled again. Far away, in a hidden room filled with screens, an old man watched the footage with a calm, pleased expression. His voice was soft. "So," All for One said, "a new world just sent us a gift." He leaned closer to the monitor as the image froze on the man in blue's symbol on his chest. "That kind of power," he whispered, "does not arrive by accident." Nezu did not like unknowns. He sat in the UA security office with a cup of tea, tiny paws wrapped around it, eyes half-lidded. On the screen was live drone footage from the street. 6 strangers. Massive power. One tear in reality that still flickered like a wound. Nezu spoke calmly. "Bring them to a secure space. Not a cage, a secure space." Aizawa's voice came over the comm. "Understood." A few minutes later, the strangers were guided into UA through a private gate. Teachers and pro-heroes formed a careful ring. Not to threaten them, to keep students away and keep panic down. The man in blue walked at the front. He did not resist. He watched faces, taking in fear and curiosity. His eyes kept drifting to injured civilians being treated. He looked like he wanted to help, but he held himself back to avoid making things worse. Midoriya watched from behind a window with a few classmates, heart pounding. He could see the man's posture. Straight. Calm. Like All Might when he was in hero mode, but different. Less show. More steady. Bakugo pressed his hands to the glass like he wanted to jump through it. "Let me fight him," he growled. "No," Aizawa said sharply from the hallway. "You will not." The man in red, who had moved like a blur, noticed the students at the window. He gave them a small wave. Then he leaned toward the metal man and murmured something. The metal man's face stayed serious, but his eyes softened a little. When they reached the secure room, it looked like a plain meeting space with reinforced walls. There were chairs, a table, cameras in the corners, a clear door, no bars. Nezu entered with a few staff members and one pro-hero as backup. All Might was not there yet, not in person. He was complicated now, but his influence was everywhere. Nezu hopped onto a chair to be eye level. "Hello," he said. "I am Nezu. I oversee this school. You have caused quite a disturbance." The man in blue nodded. "I'm sorry. We didn't choose this." "Then let us begin simply," Nezu said. "Who are you?" The man in blue looked at his teammates, then back. "We're a team. We protect our world from threats. We were pulled here through that tear." "Your world," Nezu repeated, gentle but sharp. "So you claim you are from another universe." The man in black finally spoke. His voice was low, controlled. "Claim isn't the point. Proving it is." Nezu's ears twitched. This one was the suspicious type. The planner. The one who would be dangerous even without powers. Nezu nodded. "Very well. Proof comes later. For now, I want ground rules." Aizawa stood by the door, scarf loose, eyes tired. He watched for any twitch that meant violence. The armored woman leaned forward slightly. She was respectful, but she looked like she would not tolerate bullying. "We will follow reasonable rules," she said. "But we will not be treated as criminals for arriving against our will." The large man with the heavy stance snorted quietly. "And if your rules stop us from saving people, we will ignore them." Aizawa's eyes narrowed at that. The man in blue raised a hand. "Calm." "Arthur," he said gently, then looked back at Nezu. "We understand your fear, but we are not your enemies." Nezu studied him. This man had the posture of a leader. But Nezu also knew something important. A kind leader could still crush a city by accident if pushed the wrong way. Nezu tapped a button. A screen on the wall lit up with sensor data. "We have questions," Nezu said. "Your abilities are not registering as quirks. Our quirk suppression methods may not work on you. That is unusual." The man in metal nodded. "Different system," he said. "Different physics, maybe. I can scan your tech. It's advanced, but it's not built for this." Nezu smiled politely. "You will not scan anything without permission." The metal man paused, then nodded once. "Fair." The man in red leaned back in his chair, trying to look relaxed. He failed. He smiled anyway. "Hi, I'm—" The man in black's head turned a fraction. The man in red cleared his throat. "I'm fast," he said, choosing the safest words. "Sorry." "Habit." Nezu's eyes gleamed with interest. "You are very fast." "Yep," the man in red said, then added, as if it mattered a lot. "I also do not steal wallets, just so we're clear." Aizawa made a small sound that might have been a sigh. Midoriya, listening from behind a cracked door, with permission from Aizawa, blinked. Why would someone even say that? But something about it felt normal, like a person trying to make a tense moment less scary. Nezu continued. "You will share basic information, not secrets that could endanger you, but enough for us to understand what we are dealing with. In return, we will offer medical care, shelter, and a controlled chance to help with public safety." "Controlled," Nezu repeated, eyes flicking to the man in black. "Meaning we set boundaries." The man in black's mouth tightened. He didn't like boundaries set by strangers, but he also knew chaos could kill people. "We can agree to that," the man in blue said. "For now." Nezu's pen scratched as he wrote. "Names," he said. "Or code names?" The man in blue hesitated for the first time, not from fear, from caution. "We prefer code names," he said. "Understood," Nezu replied. "Begin." The armored woman lifted her chin. "Wonder Woman." The man in metal? Cyborg. The heavy man? Aquaman. The man in red? Flash. The man in black? Batman. Midoriya's eyes widened. Those names sounded like comic book titles. Not hero names like Eraserhead, not like Endeavor. They sounded like simple legends. The man in blue looked at Nezu. Superman. Aizawa's gaze sharpened at the last one. A name like that could trigger panic in a room full of people who lived under a strict hero system. Nezu stayed calm. "Very dramatic," he said lightly. Flash made a small, helpless gesture. "It wasn't my idea," he muttered. Superman didn't smile. "It's just a name," he said. "I'm Clark. But in your world, maybe keep it simple. Superman is fine." Nezu nodded. "Code names only, for now." After the introductions, tests began. Not painful, not humiliating, but thorough. Cyborg sat with UA support staff, hands open, allowing scanners to check his systems, while he watched their tech with equal care. He asked short questions. He spoke like a man who had been turned into a machine, and still hated it some days. Aizawa tried his quirk on Superman in a controlled space. Nothing happened. Superman didn't even flinch. He just blinked once and looked at Aizawa with understanding instead of anger. "So it doesn't work," Aizawa said. "It doesn't," Superman agreed. "But I'm not here to fight you." That answer did not relax Aizawa. It made him more alert. Because the truth was simple. If this man ever did decide to fight, Aizawa could not stop him the normal way. Batman watched the test closely. He did not speak. He stored details. Aizawa noticed Batman's eyes moving, counting exits, noting camera positions, measuring guard distances. Aizawa spoke to him directly. "You're planning." Batman met his eyes. "I always plan." "For what?" Aizawa asked. Batman's voice stayed flat. "For the day someone strong makes a bad choice." Aizawa didn't like that answer, but he understood it. Later, Nezu arranged a video call with top pro heroes. Many faces appeared. Some were curious. Some were afraid. Endeavor's eyes burned with intensity. "If they're not quirk users," he said, "then they are outside our laws." "That does not mean outside morality," Superman said quietly. Endeavor's mouth tightened. "Morality is not enough when cities burn." Wonder Woman leaned forward, voice firm. "Your law should serve your people, not chain them." Endeavor looked like he wanted to argue, but he held back because something about her tone was not weak. It was steady. Then the real pressure entered. A new face appeared on the screen. Not a hero, not a teacher. A government representative from the Hero Public Safety Commission. The woman's smile was polite and cold. "We welcome you," she said, "and we thank you for helping civilians today. But you must understand. This society cannot allow unregistered vigilantes to operate freely. You will submit to monitoring. You will cooperate with containment protocols. You will share data on your abilities." Flash leaned toward Superman and whispered, "Are they always like this?" Superman whispered back, "Some worlds are." Batman did not whisper. He simply looked at the HPSC woman like she was a lock waiting to be picked. Superman spoke clearly. "We will cooperate with reasonable safety measures. We will not be owned." The HPSC woman's smile did not change. "Nobody said owned," she replied smoothly. Batman's eyes narrowed. He had heard that line before, in different forms. Nezu stepped in before tempers rose. "We will proceed carefully," he said. "UA will host them temporarily. We will assess the threat of the Sky Tear. We will work with pro heroes as needed. The HPSC woman's eyes flicked with interest. And if they refuse our authority? Nezu's voice stayed pleasant. Then we will have a problem. Let us avoid that. After the call ended, a quiet settled over the room. Superman stood by the window and looked out at the city. He could hear sirens far away. He could hear fear in voices. He could also hear children talking excitedly about the flying man. Wonder Woman walked up beside him. "They are afraid," she said. "They have reason," Superman answered. Flash groaned softly. "I saw someone already selling a shirt online," he said. It had my face. I don't even have a good face for shirts. Aquaman frowned. Why would anyone sell a shirt during a crisis? Flash spread his hands helplessly. "Welcome to people." Batman spoke from the back. Voice calm but edged. "We don't have time for their celebrity games. We need to know what caused the breach." Cyborg nodded. "There's a pulse pattern," he said. "The tear didn't just open. It sent something out. Like a signal." Nezu's eyes sharpened. A signal to whom? Cyborg looked down at his own hand, metal fingers flexing. Something that listens. Aizawa felt a chill that had nothing to do with weather. A crack in reality was bad enough. A crack that called to something else was worse. Nezu made a decision. "You will help," he said to the League, "but with supervision, limited missions, controlled contact." Batman's jaw tightened, but he accepted it for now. Superman nodded once. "We can work with that." The uneasy status quo settled into place like a heavy door closing. Outside, on a rooftop far from UA, a warped purple mist opened and closed for a moment, like a blink. Kurogiri watched the city lights and spoke into the darkness. "They are being sheltered." A voice answered from deeper shadows, low and pleased. "Good," All for One said. "Let them believe they are safe." The first major attack did not come at UA. It came where cameras were everywhere and civilians were packed close together. Camino Ward had rebuilt. New signs, new shops, new rail lines. It was busy in the way a city tried to be busy after fear. People wanted normal again, even if normal was shaky. Tenya Ida stood near a crosswalk with a small UA group. It was a public safety visit, a short field lesson. Low risk, they said. Good for morale, they said. Midoriya stood at Ida's side, trying to look calm. He was still thinking about the League in UA. He had not been allowed near them again. Not yet. He kept seeing that moment. The truck stopping like it was nothing. A scream cut through the noise. Midoriya's head snapped. A man crashed through a storefront window across the street. Glass flew. People scattered. Then something worse stepped out of the broken shop. A Nomu. It was tall and wrong, muscle and stitched skin. Its eyes were blank. Its mouth opened in a sound that was half roar, half broken breathing. Civilians froze. Midoriya's chest went tight. This was not a drill. Not here. Not now. Ida moved first, kicking off the ground, trying to get people away. "Everyone, move!" Ida shouted, voice sharp. "Run to—" The air warped. A dark mist formed behind the Nomu like a door. A figure stepped out of it with hands in his pockets, head tilted. Tamura Shigaraki. His eyes flicked across the street. He saw Midoriya. He saw the crowd. He saw the fear. And he smiled like a child about to break a toy. "Hey," Shigaraki said, voice scratchy. "Let's see if the new guys are really heroes." Midoriya's blood went cold. The new guys. This was planned. Shigaraki lifted his hand and touched the ground. The street cracked. A line of decay raced forward, chewing through asphalt like it was paper. The crack aimed straight for the crosswalk filled with people. Midoriya moved without thinking, legs pushing him forward. But he was not fast enough. A blur of red snapped across the street. The decay reached the crosswalk. And then it didn't. Because the people were gone. They were gone so fast, Midoriya barely saw them move. 1 second, they were there. The next second, they were piled safely behind a concrete barrier 50 meters away, blinking in shock. The red blur stopped near Midoriya and gave him a quick look. Flash. He wore a different outfit now. Not bright and loud like before. A plain, darker suit. Less attention. But it was still him. Flash spoke quickly, almost apologetic. "Hi, sorry. We're kind of on limited missions now. This counts." Midoriya's mouth opened and closed. You, Flash pointed. "Villain first. Talking later." Midoriya snapped back into focus. Across the street, Shigaraki stared. For the first time, his smile slipped. The air above them shifted with a strong wind. Superman dropped from the sky like a controlled fall, cape pulling behind him. He landed between the Nomu and the crowd, boots cracking the pavement in a small ring, not from power, but from weight and speed controlled into one spot. Wonder Woman landed beside him, shield already raised. Batman appeared on a rooftop edge, cape blending into shadow. Cyborg stood near a traffic light, his eye glowing as he scanned. Aquaman stepped out from an alley, trident in hand, expression grim like he did not want to be here, but would not run from it. A pro-hero response arrived at the same time. Endeavor's flames burst into the street like a warning. Aizawa dropped onto a nearby ledge, eyes locked, scarf snapping. Aizawa's gaze flicked to Superman, then to Shigaraki. This was a nightmare mix. 2 systems, 1 battlefield. Shigaraki's eyes glittered. "So you came," he said. "Good. I wanted to see your faces up close." Superman's voice was calm, but it carried. "Step away from the civilians," he said. Shigaraki laughed. "You're not from here. You don't get to give orders." Endeavor's flames flared hotter. "Shigaraki!" he roared. Wonder Woman took 1 step forward, shield raised. "You threaten the innocent," she said. "That is enough." Shigaraki spread his fingers, like he was about to touch the ground again. Batman's voice cut in from above, sharp and cold. "Don't." Shigaraki looked up. His eyes narrowed, annoyed, like Batman had broken his rhythm. "What are you?" Shigaraki muttered. "The scary dad." Batman didn't answer. He threw something small. It bounced near Shigaraki's feet and popped. Not a bomb. A burst of thick foam and pellets. It wasn't meant to hurt. It was meant to delay. Shigaraki jumped back instinctively. In that tiny moment, Superman moved. He did not rush Shigaraki with a fist. He shot forward and grabbed the Nomu. 1 hand on its shoulder, 1 on its chest. The Nomu tried to swing. Its fist moved like a wrecking ball. Superman caught it. The impact made a loud crack in the air. The street shook. Superman's feet did not slide. Midoriya felt his eyes widen. He had seen All Might stop blows. This looked like that kind of power. But it was different. Cleaner. Like the man was built for this. Superman twisted and lifted. He hurled the Nomu straight up into the sky, away from people, away from buildings. The Nomu roared as it rose. Wonder Woman leapt after it in one smooth motion, shield leading. She hit the Nomu in midair like a missile. Not wild, not angry. Precise. The Nomu dropped back down, but she guided the fall, driving it into an empty construction lot where the ground could take the hit. Concrete exploded. Dust rose. Aizawa watched with tight focus. That wasn't Quirk's strength. That was something else. Endeavor launched flames toward Shigaraki, trying to pin him, but a warp gate opened behind Shigaraki. Kurogiri stepped out, calm and silent. Shigaraki grinned. "You're late," he said to Endeavor. "But it's okay. The show's for them. Cyborg's eye flashed. "Multiple warp signatures," he said. "They can reposition fast." Batman's voice came through comms. He had already patched into UA's limited channel during the supervised mission. "They want data," Batman said. "Watch for devices." Aizawa's eyes snapped to Cyborg. "Can you detect a beacon?" Cyborg's jaw tightened. "I'm trying." Shigaraki's hand slammed down again. Decay raced toward a row of parked buses full of evacuees. Flash blurred. He didn't just move people, he moved the buses. In a fraction of a second, the buses were pushed and pulled into a new line farther away, out of reach of Decay. The evacuees inside screamed as their world shifted. Then they realized they were alive. Flash stopped and bent over, hands on knees, breathing hard, not from effort, but from stress. He looked up at a woman clutching her child. "Sorry," he said. "I know that was scary. You're safe." The woman stared at him. Are you a new top hero?" she asked. Flash froze like he had been shot. "Oh no," he whispered, horrified. "Not again." Midoriya almost laughed despite the danger. Almost. The fight widened. In the construction lot, Wonder Woman fought the Nomu like she had trained her whole life for monsters that did not feel pain. She blocked its claws with her bracers. She smashed its knees with her heel. She used her lasso to yank its head down, then drove her shield edge into its chest to pin it. The Nomu howled and tried to regenerate. Superman hovered above the lot, eyes narrow. He did not want to burn it with heat vision if it would spray blood and pieces into the street. He did not know how this world treated bodies like that. He didn't want to add fear. So he used his strength in a different way. He clapped. It was not a joke clap. It was a controlled sonic shock, aimed upward and outward to disrupt the Nomu's balance and hearing. The Nomu staggered. Wonder Woman used that opening to wrap her lasso around its arms and lock them tight. "Now," she said. Superman dove down, grabbed the bound Nomu, and shot straight up again, carrying it high above the city where it could not harm anyone. Aizawa's scarf snapped in the wind as he watched. "He's taking it away," Aizawa murmured. "He's thinking about collateral." Batman's voice came through again. He always does. On the street, Endeavor and Aizawa moved to corner Shigaraki. Shigaraki clicked his tongue. "You're ignoring the big guy," he said, pointing at Cyborg. Kurogiri's mist swirled. A warp gate opened behind Cyborg. Two smaller Nomu lunged out, fast and sharp, like knives made of muscle. Cyborg's arm shifted into a cannon. He fired a focused blast that slammed one Nomu into a wall and pinned it there. The second Nomu dodged and leapt for his neck. Batman dropped from the rooftop like a falling shadow. He hooked the Nomu's head with a cable and yanked it sideways midair. The creature slammed into a streetlight. The light bent. Batman landed, rolled, and came up already throwing a second gadget, a hardening foam that coated the Nomu's hands. Not enough to stop it forever, but enough to slow it. Cyborg's eyes flicked to Batman. "Thanks." Batman didn't look at him. "Find the beacon." Cyborg's fingers pressed to his wrist, his system's word. "There," he said suddenly, voice hard. "Something is pinging. Small, hidden in the street grid." Aizawa's eyes widened. "Can you disable it?" "Maybe," Cyborg said. "But someone is trying to hack me while I do it." He grimaced, jaw clenching. His body locked for half a second, like a muscle spasm. Shigaraki noticed. His grin returned. "There you are," Shigaraki said. "The metal one." Shigaraki rushed. Not fast like Flash, but fast enough to kill anyone he touched. Batman moved to intercept. Aizawa moved too, scarf whipping out. Endeavor blasted flame in a tight line to cut off Shigaraki's path. Kurogiri opened a gate, and Shigaraki stepped through it like a cheat code. He reappeared close to Cyborg's back. Midoriya's heart jumped. "Behind!" Aquaman moved. He slammed his trident into the pavement. Water burst up from a nearby hydrant line that had been cracked by earlier damage. It wasn't ocean water, but it was enough. A thick wave slapped Shigaraki sideways, pushing him off balance and away from Cyborg. Shigaraki skidded, coughing, annoyed. Aquaman's eyes narrowed. "You will not touch him," he said, voice low. Shigaraki stared at Aquaman like he was deciding if he hated him yet. "Fish guy," he muttered, then smiled. "Okay." The street shook again. Superman returned, dropping the bound Nomu far away into an empty quarry zone that UA, security, had guided him to through comms. He came back fast, eyes scanning for the real threat. He saw Cyborg stiffen again. He saw the glow of a small device embedded under a broken manhole cover. It pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat. Superman's hearing caught a tiny electronic whine, a beacon. Batman saw it too. His eyes flicked up. He didn't tell Superman what to do. He trusted him to choose. Superman moved in a blur. He didn't smash the street. He used 2 fingers to pinch the manhole cover edge and lift it carefully, like opening a jar lid. He exposed the device without crushing it. Cyborg shouted, "Don't touch!" Too late. The device flashed bright. For a split second, Midoriya felt pressure in his ears, like the air got heavy. Superman pulled his hand back fast. His eyes narrowed. "It's sending," he said. Cyborg's face tightened. It already sent. Batman's jaw clenched. They got what they came for. Shigaraki laughed, head tilted back, as if he could hear the message leaving the world. "Thank you," he said lightly. "Now the real players will notice." Endeavor roared and surged forward. Aizawa's eyes locked on Shigaraki's hand. His scarf snapped, aiming to bind. But Kurogiri opened a gate between Shigaraki and their attacks. Shigaraki stepped back into the mist like he was stepping behind a curtain. He pointed at Superman as he vanished. "I'm going to break your perfect face," he called, "just to see what's under it." The mist closed. Silence hit the street in a rush, broken only by distant sirens and crying. Midoriya stood frozen, chest heaving. Aizawa landed near the cratered lot, eyes darting across damage. Civilians, teachers. "Report," he said. Flash was already moving among the crowd, checking for injuries, trying to keep people calm. A man held up his phone, filming. "Are you the new number 1? The man shouted. Flash looked like he wanted to disappear into the floor. "Please don't," the man's kid yelled. "Do it again. The fast thing." Flash's mouth opened, then closed. He looked at the sky like he was asking for strength from somewhere. "I miss my quiet life," he whispered. Superman stepped into the center of the street where everyone could see him. He didn't want to be a show, but he knew fear needed an anchor. His voice was calm, clear, and steady. "This is not over," he said. "But you are safe right now. Help each other. Follow the hero's directions. We will not let them take this city." Endeavor glared at him, flames still burning low. "You don't speak for this city," Endeavor said. Superman looked at him, not offended. "Then speak," he replied. "Give them orders that keep them alive. I'll do the rest." For one moment, Endeavor didn't know how to answer that. Then he barked commands to evacuation teams because he was a hero even when angry. Cyborg knelt by the beacon device, hands hovering, careful. "This wasn't just for them," he said. "This was a doorbell." Batman stared at the broken manhole, eyes cold. "And someone is going to answer." Aizawa felt the weight of that line, a crack in reality, a villain plan inside the hero system, government pressure, public fear, and now proof that the strangers were not a one-time accident. They were a signal. Far away, in his hidden room, All for One watched the footage again. His eyes lingered on Superman's hand, pulling back from the beacon. He smiled. "They are careful," he murmured. "Good." He leaned back in his chair, fingers tapping lightly. "Careful heroes," he said, "are the easiest to threaten." And in the quiet after the battle, while the city cleaned glass and counted injuries, the sky above Musutafu looked normal, but everyone kept looking up anyway. By nightfall, the city had turned the fight into 100 different stories. Aizawa stood on a rooftop near Camino Ward and watched emergency crews move like ants below. Lights flashed, sirens wailed, people pointed at broken pavement and argued about what they had seen. Some said the flying man was a new top hero. Some said he was a weapon. Some said it was all staged. People always tried to make chaos fit into a simple box. Aizawa did not have that luxury. He replayed the moment his quirk had failed to do anything to the caped man. He replayed the beacon lighting up under the manhole cover. He replayed the villain's grin as he vanished into mist. Aizawa's phone buzzed. Nezu's message was short. "Return to UA now. HPSC is coming." Aizawa closed his eyes for 1 second. He felt tired down to the bone. Then he moved. Inside UA, the air felt different than it had that morning. The halls were the same. The lights were the same. But the mood had shifted. It was like the school had grown heavier. Aizawa walked into the meeting room where Nezu sat with a stack of reports. Recovery Girl was there. Present Mike was there, unusually quiet. Several pro-heroes were on a video screen. The Justice League sat on one side of the table. Superman looked calm, but Aizawa noticed the small signs, the way his eyes kept flicking to the door, the way his hand stayed open, never clenched, as if he was reminding himself to stay gentle in a room full of fragile people. Wonder Woman sat like a guard at a gate, straight spine, sharp focus. Her shield rested near her chair as if it belonged there. Flash looked like he had aged 5 years in one day. He kept rubbing his forehead. Every few minutes, he glanced at his phone and then quickly put it face down, like it was biting him. Cyborg's eye glowed faintly. He was doing something in the background, scanning signals that only he could feel. Batman sat in the corner, half in shadow, as if the room's lighting had been designed for him. He said nothing. He watched everything. Nezu spoke first. "The beacon is confirmed," he said. "It was small, but it used a signal type we do not understand." Cyborg nodded. "It was a relay," he said. "Not the main sender. It was like a doorbell, like I said out there. It shouted, then waited." Aizawa's jaw tightened. Waited for what? Cyborg looked up. For something that's already listening. A heavy silence followed. Flash broke it without meaning to. "Also," he said, grimacing, "I think I'm trending." Aizawa stared at him. Flash lifted both hands. "I didn't ask for it. I didn't pose. I didn't do a catchphrase. I literally carried a bus." Wonder Woman's mouth twitched like she almost smiled. "Humans will celebrate anything," she said. Flash pointed at her, like he found an ally. "Thank you. That's what I'm saying." Nezu tapped a screen and showed a paused video clip. It was from a civilian phone. It showed Flash as a red streak, then a clear frame where he had stopped for half a second. Under the clip were comments. Many were excited. Some were angry. Some were scared. Nezu's ears tilted back. "The public reaction is unstable," he said. "Of course it is," Batman said, voice low. "They saw gods on a street corner." Superman's eyes narrowed. "We're not gods." Batman did not argue. He simply looked at him as if the label didn't change the problem. Nezu continued. "HPSC will arrive soon," he said. "Their stance is clear. They want control. Aizawa felt his shoulders tighten. They'll call them vigilantes. They already are, Present Mike muttered. Superman leaned forward. We'll follow local law as much as we can, he said, but we won't become tools. Nezu studied him. That is reasonable, he said, but you must understand the politics here. Fear changes rules. Batman's eyes moved to the window. Then we don't let fear right them. Aizawa almost laughed at that. Almost. It was a very Batman thing to say, even if he didn't know what Batman was. The door opened. 2 HPSC agents stepped in with controlled smiles. Behind them came a woman in a clean suit with sharp eyes. She looked like she had never lost an argument in her life. Aizawa knew her, not personally, but by reputation. She bowed her head slightly to Nezu. Principal Nezu, she said, thank you for hosting. Nezu returned the politeness. Commissioner. The woman's eyes moved to the Justice League. They did not linger on faces. They lingered on posture, on threat. It is good that you are safe, the commissioner said. And it is good that you acted to protect civilians. Superman nodded. That's our job. Her smile sharpened. In this society, job comes with licensing. Flash muttered under his breath. Here we go. The commissioner placed a folder on the table. We have drafted temporary terms, she said. You will remain on UA grounds unless escorted. You will wear tracking devices. You will submit to regular reporting. You will not engage villains unless authorized. Wonder Woman's eyes hardened. If a child is about to die, she said, we must ask permission first? The commissioner's smile did not move. We must prevent panic and collateral damage, she replied. A powerful unregistered actor is a risk. Batman finally shifted, just slightly. And what risk is your control, he asked, when villains use the time you waste? The commissioner turned to him. And you are? Batman did not answer. Nezu spoke smoothly. They use code names, he said. The commissioner nodded like she accepted that, but her eyes stayed sharp. Code names do not remove responsibility. Superman's voice stayed calm. We can agree to reasonable limits, he said. We can share basic information. We can coordinate with your heroes. But we will not wear chains. Tracking is not chains, the commissioner said. Superman looked at her. If you can turn it off, if you can lock it, if you can use it to control where we go, he said, then it is. Aizawa watched both sides carefully. He did not like HPSC pressure. He also did not like unknown forces operating freely. He lived in the space between those fears. Nezu raised a paw. We will not decide today, he said. Emotions are high. The city is tense. We will talk again when we have more facts. The commissioner's gaze slid to Nezu. Facts are moving faster than your tea, she said softly. Then she looked back at Superman. Your presence is already changing our balance. That can become chaos. Superman's jaw tightened. We didn't choose this. And yet you are here, the commissioner said. She turned and left, agents following her like shadows. The door closed. Flash exhaled loudly. Okay, that was nice. Wonder Woman's voice was quiet but strong. She speaks of safety, she said, but I smell control. Batman's voice was flat. You smell it because it's there. Nezu's eyes were thoughtful. Do not underestimate her, he said. She is not a villain. That is what makes her dangerous. Izuku Midoriya sat on his bed that night and stared at his notebook. He had written pages already. Not neat, not organized, just raw notes, not quirk. Different energy. Strong like all might, faster than anything. Calm voice. Helps first. He tried to write Superman, and his pen paused. That name felt unreal in his world. Hero names here were weird, but they were still tied to the system. Rankings, agencies, Interviews. That name sounded like a story told to kids. And yet he had seen him lift a truck. He had heard his voice steady a crowd. Midoriya pressed his forehead to the notebook. If a hero like that existed, then what did it mean for this world? He thought about All Might, the symbol of peace, the way people depended on him, the way villains wanted to break him. Midoriya swallowed. A symbol could inspire. A symbol could also become a target. A knock came at his door. "Midoriya," Aizawa's voice said. "Come with me." Midoriya's heart jumped. "Yes, sir." All Might waited in a quiet room inside UA, away from cameras and students. His shoulders were smaller now. His face looked tired when he was not smiling for the world. Superman stood across from him. For once, he looked less like a public hero and more like a man who carried weight every day. Aizawa stood near the doorway, arms crossed. Midoriya slipped in behind Aizawa and tried not to gasp. All Might's eyes went wide for a moment, then softened. He stood slowly. Superman's posture shifted. Respect. Instinct. All Might smiled. That famous smile, even if it was weaker now. "So," he said, "you are the one they are calling Superman." Superman gave a small, careful smile back. "And you're All Might." All Might blinked. "You know me?" Superman's eyes moved to Midoriya for a second, then back. "We saw footage when we arrived," he said. "And you carry yourself like someone people believe in." All Might's smile faded a little. "Belief is heavy," he said. Superman nodded. "I know." They sat, not like rivals, like two soldiers who had both stood in front of crowds and pretended they were not afraid. All Might looked at Superman, measuring him. "This world has rules," he said. "Not perfect rules, but rules." "I respect rules that protect people," Superman said. All Might's eyes sharpened. "And if rules are used to control heroes," he asked, "instead of guiding them?" Superman's voice stayed calm. "Then I won't follow those," he said. "I won't become a weapon. I won't become a ruler." All Might leaned back. He looked relieved and worried at the same time. "That answer," he said softly, "is what I hoped for." Aizawa watched All Might's hands. He could see the tension. All Might understood the politics better than most. All Might spoke again. "The public will love you," he warned, "and they will fear you. Both will become dangerous." Superman's gaze dropped. "We're trying to stay quiet," he said. "But people were going to film no matter what." Midoriya's chest tightened. He felt like he was watching two symbols talk like real people. All Might looked at Midoriya and then back at Superman. "My successor learned something early," he said. "A hero cannot save everyone at once. If you try, you break." Superman's eyes held steady. "I've broken before," he said quietly. "And I got back up because people needed me." All Might nodded slowly. "Then you understand," he said. For a moment, the room felt calm. Then Batman's voice came through the doorway like a blade. "We have a bigger problem than love and fear," Batman said. He stepped in, cape trailing. His eyes went straight to Aizawa, not to All Might. "They planted a beacon under a manhole cover," he said. "That means they had time, access, planning." Aizawa's face hardened. "You think someone helped them from inside?" Batman didn't say yes. He didn't say no. He said, "I think you have systems, rules, agencies. Someone knows how to work them." All Might's jaw tightened. "Be careful," he warned. "If you accuse without proof, you will start a war inside the hero world." Batman's gaze didn't move. "Then I'll get proof." Superman looked between them. "Bruce," he said, voice warning. Batman didn't look at Superman. "Clark," he replied. "They're going to try to put a collar on us." And while we argue about collars, your villains are calling the sky." Superman went quiet. His eyes tightened. All Might's smile was gone now. "A sky tear," he said slowly, "and a doorbell." Midoriya felt cold in his stomach. Aizawa made a choice. "Midoriya," he said, "you heard nothing that leaves this room." Midoriya swallowed. "Yes, sir." Aizawa looked at Batman. "What do you need?" he asked. Batman's answer was instant. "Access," he said, "to your logs, your security, your agency communication patterns. If I can't see, I can't stop it." Aizawa hesitated. Nezu had warned him. Batman was not a villain, but he was dangerous in a different way. He was a man who would do what he thought was right, even if it made others angry. Aizawa spoke carefully. "I can't give you everything," he said. Batman's eyes narrowed. "Then give me enough." Superman stepped forward a fraction. "No hacking," he said quietly. Batman finally looked at him. "I won't compromise their system," he said. "I'll expose the parts that are already compromised." Cyborg's voice came from the hallway, low and urgent. "We have movement," he said. "A signal spike, not the beacon, something else." Everyone turned. Cyborg stood with his head tilted, as if he was listening to a distant radio. "Someone is trying to ping the breach location again," he said. "Small, hidden, local." Batman's tone turned cold. "They're testing the door," he said. Nezu's voice came over a speaker on the wall, calm but sharp. "All staff to command room," Nezu said. "Now." All for One sat in his chair and watched his agents work. He did not enjoy loud chaos for its own sake. He enjoyed control. On a screen, Shigaraki paced like a restless animal. "All you did was ring a bell," Shigaraki complained. "When do we break them?" All for One's voice stayed gentle. "We did not only ring a bell," he said. "We measured their reactions, their choices, their limits." Shigaraki leaned close to the camera. "Their limit is that blue one," he said, eyes hungry. "He cares too much." All for One smiled. "Yes," he said. "He cares." He turned his head to another screen. It showed HPSC agents leaving UA. It showed schedules, routes, security patterns. All for One tapped the armrest. "And your society," he continued, "is full of people who believe control equals safety." Shigaraki's smile returned. "So we use that," he said. All for One's eyes gleamed. "We will," he said. "We will make them choose between being heroes and being allowed to be heroes." He leaned forward. "Bring me a small stage," he ordered softly. "A place with cameras, a place where rules will hesitate." Shigaraki laughed. "A hospital?" he suggested. All for One's smile deepened. "Perfect," he said. The next day, a children's hospital in Musutafu went on lockdown. It started with a simple threat call, a warning about a bomb. Staff rushed, security sealed doors, parents cried, patients were moved into interior halls. Then the real strike happened. A warp gate opened inside a supply room on the 3rd floor. Kurogiri stepped out silently. Shigaraki stepped out behind him, hands twitching. Aizawa arrived with pro-heroes and police within minutes. So did HPSC agents. So did cameras, because someone always leaked information. Aizawa stood outside the hospital entrance and felt anger rise in his chest. He picked children, he muttered. Endeavor's flames flickered beside him. "He wants you to burn," Endeavor growled. "Don't." Aizawa didn't answer. He was already looking for angles, hostage patterns, escape routes. Nezu's voice crackled in his earpiece. "The League is on standby," Nezu said. "HPSC is resisting." Aizawa's eyes narrowed. "Resisting what?" he demanded. "Letting them in," Nezu replied. Aizawa's stomach dropped. "They're blocking heroes," he said, furious. "It's politics," Nezu said. They want to be seen as in control. Aizawa clenched his jaw. Politics could kill children. Inside the hospital, Shigaraki walked slowly through a hallway, fingers grazing the wall. He didn't decay it yet. He wanted fear to build. A nurse stood in front of a patient room, shaking, trying to be brave. "Please," she begged. "There are children here." Shigaraki tilted his head. "Yeah," he said. "That's why I came." He lifted his hand. Kurogiri's mist swirled behind him, ready to move him away the second a hero attacked. Outside, HPSC agents formed a line at the entrance. The commissioner was there in person. Her eyes were cold. "No unregistered actors enter," she said, loud enough for media microphones to catch. Aizawa stared at her like he couldn't believe it. "People are trapped," he snapped. "And if your strangers act freely," she replied. "Panic spreads. We will handle this." Endeavor's flames flared. "Handle it faster," he growled. The commissioner's gaze flicked to Endeavor. "You will follow command," she said. Aizawa's scarf twitched like a snake ready to strike. A sudden wind pushed through the street. A shadow passed over the hospital wall. Superman landed across from the agent line, not aggressive, just present. Wonder Woman stood beside him. Flash and Cyborg stayed back, watching. Batman remained unseen. Superman's eyes went to the hospital windows. He could hear heartbeats. He could hear crying. He could hear Shigaraki's slow steps like a countdown. He looked at the commissioner. "Move," he said, voice controlled. The commissioner didn't flinch. "No," she said. "You are not authorized." Superman's jaw tightened. "Children are authorized," he said. Microphones caught it. Cameras zoomed in. The moment became a public picture before anyone could stop it. Wonder Woman's voice cut in, firm. "You protect your system," she said. "We protect lives." The commissioner's eyes narrowed. "And when you cause a collapse," she said, "who answers for it?" Superman took one slow step forward. "I will," he said. The commissioner lifted a hand. HPSC agents raised strange devices. Not guns, not quirk bullets. Something new. Cyborg's eye widened. "Those are signal jammers," he warned. "They're trying to disrupt our comms." Flash whispered, "They brought gear for us. They planned for us." Superman felt something inside him go cold. Not fear. Something sharper. Batman's voice came into Superman's earpiece, faint but clear. "Clark," Batman said, "they want you on camera breaking their line." Superman answered softly, without moving his lips much. "I know," he said. Batman's voice stayed calm. "Do it anyway," he said. "But do it right." Superman looked at the agents. He looked at the commissioner. He looked at the hospital. He chose. He moved so fast most cameras missed the moment between frames. But he did not hit anyone. He did not shove anyone into the ground. He simply stepped through the line like the space had opened for him. In the same motion, he lifted the jammer device out of an agent's hands and placed it gently on the pavement, like removing a dangerous toy from a child. The agent stumbled back, shocked. Superman didn't even look at him. "You can arrest me later," he said, already turning toward the hospital doors. "Right now, I'm going in." Wonder Woman followed with a look that told the agents not to try something stupid. Flash looked torn. "We're really doing this," he muttered. Cyborg's voice went hard. "We have to," he said. Inside the hospital, Shigaraki heard the door open and smiled. "Ah," he said. "There he is." Superman stepped into the hallway. The air smelled like cleaning chemicals and fear. People pressed against walls. Nurses held children close. A doctor stood frozen, trying to be brave and failing. Superman's eyes locked on Shigaraki. Shigaraki's grin widened. "Look," he said to the terrified people. "The illegal hero came anyway." Superman's voice stayed calm. "Let them go," he said. Shigaraki laughed. "You don't get it," he said. "I don't want them. I want you." He slammed his palm onto the floor. Decay raced forward like a living crack, eating tile and walls. Superman's eyes widened. He moved. He didn't try to punch Shigaraki. There wasn't time. He dove low, hands on the floor, and ripped up a long strip of tile and concrete like a rug. He tore it free and lifted it into a barrier. Decay hit the barrier first, chewing through it. Superman threw the barrier away down an empty hall, pulling the Decay line with it like redirecting a flood. The wall behind him crumbled, but the patient room stayed intact. Wonder Woman sprinted past him and smashed her shield into the floor, creating a hard break point. The Decay line hit the broken edge and slowed, forced to climb over a gap. Aizawa burst into the building from a side entrance seconds later, scarf snapping out. He had ignored the front line. He had found another way in, because he was not going to watch children die to make someone look in charge. His eyes locked on Shigaraki. Aizawa's quirk hit. Shigaraki's decay stopped. Shigaraki blinked, annoyed. "Oh right," he muttered. "That guy." Superman felt relief and also danger, because he knew Aizawa could not erase him. But Aizawa could erase Shigaraki, and that made Aizawa a target. Kurogiri's mist surged. A warp gate opened behind Aizawa. Aizawa's eyes flicked. He spun, scarf whipping, catching the mist edge like it was fabric. But mist wasn't fabric. A hand reached out of the warp gate, Nomu fingers, aiming for Aizawa's neck. Batman dropped from above. Aizawa didn't see him enter. He only saw the Nomu's hand get pinned to the wall by a sharp metal spike. Batman's voice was low. "Eyes front," he said. Aizawa's jaw clenched. He hated needing help, but he accepted it. The hospital shook again as Shigaraki knocked over a heavy equipment cart, trying to cause panic. Superman used super speed in short bursts, moving people out of danger without making a windstorm in narrow halls. He carried 2 kids at once, careful as glass. He placed them behind Wonder Woman, who became a living shield between them and the fight. Flash blurred through a stairwell, evacuating whole floors in seconds. He tried to smile at scared parents, but he was sweating. He hated being the fun one when kids were crying. Cyborg locked onto the hospital's security system and took control from a villain hack in the background. He spoke into speakers. "Follow the green lights," he instructed. "Do not push, walk fast." Shigaraki watched it all and clicked his tongue. "You're annoying," he said to Superman. Superman's eyes narrowed. "I can do this all day," he said. Shigaraki grinned. "Good," he whispered, "because I'm not here to win." He moved toward a corner where a small device blinked on the wall, another beacon. Smaller, hidden inside a fire safety box. Cyborg's head snapped. "Second relay," he shouted. Batman's eyes narrowed. "There," he said. Wonder Woman moved to cut Shigaraki off. Kurogiri opened a gate. Shigaraki slipped through, reappearing closer to the relay. Superman felt anger rise, hot and dangerous. He pushed it down hard. He didn't rush Shigaraki. He rushed the device. He crossed the hallway in a flash and ripped the box open. His fingers pinched the blinking relay and crushed it into dust. The light died. Shigaraki's grin froze. For the first time, real irritation flickered in his eyes. "Oh," he said softly. "So you learn." Superman looked back at him. "I do," he said. Shigaraki's smile returned, thinner. "Then you'll learn this too," he said. He threw his hand toward a patient room door. A nurse was there, shielding a child. Aizawa's eyes widened. He turned his quirk back to Shigaraki fully, locking him down. Shigaraki's decay did not trigger, but Kurogiri's mist surged between them. A warp gate opened under Shigaraki's feet. He dropped into it like falling through water. And he was gone. Kurogiri's voice echoed softly. Another time. The mist vanished. Silence rushed back into the hallway. Only crying and the beeping of hospital machines remained. Superman stood still for a moment, chest rising and falling slowly, as if he had been holding his breath the whole time. Aizawa's eyes burned from keeping his quirk active. He blinked hard and felt the sting. Wonder Woman lowered her shield and looked around at the children huddled behind her. Her face softened. She knelt and spoke gently to a boy clutching a blanket. "You are safe," she said. The boy stared at her armor and whispered, "Are you a princess?" Wonder Woman paused. Then she nodded once. "In a way," she said. Flash leaned against a wall and rubbed his face. "I'm never going to emotionally recover from saving children while being filmed," he muttered. A nurse looked up, tearful. "Thank you," she whispered to him. Flash froze. Then he gave a small, shaky smile. "You're welcome," he said, voice quiet. Outside, the commissioner stood with cameras pointed at the hospital doors. When Superman stepped out, the street erupted in noise. People shouted questions. Reporters pushed forward. Phones rose like a forest. The commissioner's face was calm, but her eyes were hard. "You entered without authorization," she said loudly. "You interfered with command." Superman looked at her. "I stopped children from dying," he said. Microphones caught it. The commissioner's voice stayed smooth. "And you set a precedent," she replied, "that you are above our law." Batman watched from a rooftop edge, unseen by most. He didn't care about the cameras. He cared about patterns. This was a trap, he thought. Not the hospital. The moment. They wanted this picture. Superman versus the system. Heroes split. Public divided. Batman's jaw tightened. Aizawa stepped out behind Superman, eyes tired and angry. He didn't care about politics right now. He cared about one thing. He leaned toward Nezu's comm in his ear and spoke low. "They hit a hospital," he said. "This is going to get worse." Nezu's answer was quiet. "Yes," he said. "And now, everyone will try to use them." Superman's gaze stayed on the commissioner. "Arrest me later," he repeated, voice steady. "Right now. Move your people and help." Endeavor pushed through the crowd, flames low, eyes sharp. He glared at Superman, then at the commissioner. For once, Endeavor didn't know which fire to aim at. And that, Batman realized, was the point. That night, UA went into a tighter lockdown. Nezu called a smaller meeting. No cameras, no extra staff, just key people. Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, Flash, Cyborg, Aquaman, Nezu, Aizawa, All Might. A single pro-hero liaison. Nezu spoke first. "The HPSC will demand consequences," he said. "They will try to control this situation harder." Superman's face was calm, but his eyes held a quiet anger. "They made it harder," he said. "They blocked the entrance." All Might nodded slowly. "They fear what they cannot measure," he said. "And fear makes people grab for power." Batman's voice was blunt. "And villains know it." Cyborg's eye glowed brighter. "I picked up the second relay signal before it died," he said. "It tried to connect to the first beacon's path. That means there is a local network." "Someone is building a bridge, piece by piece." Aizawa's stomach tightened. "So, they don't need a big tear," he said. "They can make a smaller one." Cyborg nodded. "Or a stable one," he said. Flash rubbed his arms like he was cold. "So we're stuck in the middle of a world that wants to leash us," he said. "And villains who want to text the universe." Wonder Woman's eyes narrowed. "Then we cut their hands," she said. Nezu's expression stayed mild. "We do not start a war inside our own system," he warned. "If you attack the Commission directly, you will become what they fear." Batman leaned forward. "Then we don't attack," he said. "We observe." Aizawa stared at him. How? He asked. Batman's answer was simple. We build our own eyes, he said. Cyborg's head tilted. A watch network, he said, understanding. Batman nodded once. A scanner grid, he said. Not to control people, to spot breach signals before they become disasters. Nezu's ears lifted slightly. You want to build a watchtower, he said. Batman didn't smile. A smaller version, he said, and we keep it off their leash. All Might looked at Superman. Is that wise? He asked softly. In this world, surveillance is a sharp knife. Superman's eyes met Batman's. Only if it's used to cut people, Superman said. Batman's voice was flat. It's used to cut threats, he replied. Superman held his gaze. Then we set rules, Superman said. We do not watch civilians. We watch the sky. Batman's jaw moved. Agreed, he said. Aizawa felt uneasy, but he also felt the truth. If a bigger force was coming, they needed warning. Nezu tapped a paw on the table. There is another problem, he said. If the Commission learns you built this without them, they will move against UA. Batman's eyes sharpened. Then we make it look like standard support tech, he said. Cyborg nodded. I can mask the signal, he said. Flash raised a hand like a student. Can we please not call it Watchtower, he said. Because if the public hears that, we'll have merch by morning. Wonder Woman looked confused. Merch, she repeated. Flash stared at her. You'll learn, he said sadly. Nezu made the final call. Proceed, he said, but quietly and carefully. Batman stood. I leave tonight, he said. Cyborg rose too. I'm coming, he said. Superman's eyes narrowed. Where? He asked. Batman's answer was calm. To where your system hides its secrets, he said. If someone inside is helping villains build a bridge, I'll find the trail. Aizawa felt a chill. This was the pivot. The next move was not a street fight. It was a silent fight inside the world's rules. And someone out there, something out there, had heard the doorbell. 3 days later, Musutafu looked calm on the surface. It was not calm. Cameras followed every pro-hero shift. People argued on trains. Kids traded rumors in schoolyards. New posters appeared on walls. Some were supportive. Some were fearful. Some were ugly. Flash learned this the hard way when he walked through a UA hallway and found a student holding a hand-drawn picture. It was him, drawn like a cartoon, with the words, Flash, Fast Delivery. Flash stared at it. Is that my face? He asked. The student nodded proudly. It's cool, the kid said. You look like you could deliver pizza in 1 second. Flash's shoulders slumped. I am begging you, he said quietly. Please don't. The kid blinked. Why? Flash looked down the hallway and saw Batman walking away with Cyborg. Batman didn't even glance at the drawing. He looked like he would rather fight a dragon than talk about branding. Flash sighed. Because I'm not a product, he said. I'm a guy who runs. The kid frowned like that was weird. But heroes are products, the kid said, honest. Flash didn't know what to say to that. Batman and Cyborg moved through the city without fanfare. Batman wore a plain coat over his suit, hood up, face shadowed. He didn't care if someone recognized him. He cared if someone tracked him. Cyborg looked like he couldn't hide even if he wanted to. His metal parts drew eyes. He stayed close to Batman anyway. Calm. Focused. They stopped at a support tech district where companies built gear for heroes. It was the kind of place that had clean buildings and heavy security. The kind of place where doors opened with badges and smiles. Batman didn't smile back. He watched cameras. He watched guard routes. He watched who looked away and who stared too long. Cyborg's voice was low. You think the Commission is hiding breach data here, he said. Batman nodded once. They'll call it research, he said. Or public safety. Cyborg's eye glowed faintly. I can sniff signals, he said. But I need a link point, a network port. Batman looked at a tall building with a clean logo. Then we get inside, he said. Cyborg glanced at him. And your plan is? Batman's answer was simple. Quiet, he said. They entered as visitors. Batman moved like he belonged there, which was a skill. He walked like a tired businessman who didn't want to talk. People avoided him without knowing why. Cyborg played the role of special consultant. It wasn't even a lie. He was. Inside, Cyborg found what he needed, a maintenance terminal. He placed his hand on it and felt the system open like a door. His eye flickered. There, he said. Batman leaned in. What is it? He asked. Cyborg's voice turned tight. A hidden data stream, he said. They have been tracking the breach since day one, and they didn't tell UA. Batman's jaw clenched. Show me, he said. Cyborg pulled files. Images, signal graphs, test logs. One line stood out. Project. Skynet. Temp. Cyborg blinked. They already named it, he muttered. Batman's voice was flat. They always name it, he said. Cyborg pulled deeper. Then he froze. What? Batman asked. Cyborg's voice went low. They have a containment protocol, he said. For the League. Batman didn't look surprised. He looked angry. Cyborg kept reading. They planned jammer arrays, he said. Tracking tags, emergency response teams, and… He paused. A trigger phrase. Batman's eyes sharpened. A code word, he said. Cyborg nodded. For public messaging, he said. To frame you as a threat if needed. Batman's fists tightened inside his gloves. So their safety plan includes a lie, he said. Cyborg's eye flashed. And it gets worse, he said. Batman leaned closer. Cyborg pointed to a line of logs. Someone accessed the breach data from inside their network, he said. Not villains outside, someone with clearance. Batman's voice was ice. Names, he said. Cyborg's eye flickered. It's masked, he said, but I can trace the device signature. Batman nodded once. Do it, he said. Cyborg reached deeper into the system and felt a sudden shove. Not physical. Digital. A foreign hand. His body stiffened for half a second. Batman's head snapped toward him. Victor, he said. Cyborg's voice came out strained. They found me, he said. The building's lights didn't change. The hall stayed quiet. But Cyborg could feel alarms blooming in the network, like red flowers. Batman didn't panic. He pulled a small tool from his belt and flicked it onto the terminal. A dark screen spread like ink, blocking the terminal's signal output. Can you cut the link? Batman asked. Cyborg gritted his teeth. Yes, he said. But something is piggybacking on me. Batman's eyes narrowed. Then we cut hard, he said. Cyborg severed the connection. His body relaxed again. He exhaled. That wasn't just the commission, he said softly. That was someone else. Batman's voice stayed calm. Villain, he said. Cyborg nodded. Or something using their system, he said. Batman looked at the clean hallway outside the room. We're leaving, he said. Cyborg's eye glowed. And we just told them we exist, he said. Batman's answer was blunt. They already knew, he said. Now we know too. Superman hovered high above the city that night, far enough that nobody could see him clearly, close enough that he could hear trouble if it started. He hated this part. In his world, he could fly above Metropolis and feel like a guardian. Here, it felt like spying, like being a weapon in the sky. He kept his hearing tight. He listened for screams. Not secrets, but even then, he couldn't block out the noise of this society. Phones. News. Fear. A commentator's voice carried up from an open window in a high-rise. "They are powerful," the voice said. "But who controls them? If they decide they don't like our laws, what happens then?" Superman's jaw tightened. He didn't want control. He wanted trust. But trust wasn't something you could lift with your hands. Wonder Woman landed beside him in the air, hovering with calm strength, like it was normal. "They are speaking of us like storms," she said. Superman nodded. "Storms don't choose where they go," he said. "We do." Wonder Woman looked down at the city lights. "And they still fear," she said. Superman's voice went quiet. "Because they've been hurt," he said, "by villains, by power, by systems." Wonder Woman's eyes narrowed. "Then we show them a better kind of power," she said. Superman turned to her. "Without letting them turn us into tools," he said. Wonder Woman nodded once. "Agreed," she said. Below them, far away, the ocean line was dark. Aquaman stood on a pier, alone, trident resting against the wood. He stared at the water. It felt wrong. Not poisoned, not dirty. Just pulled. Like the tide had a hand on it that shouldn't be there. He closed his eyes and listened with senses this world did not understand. He felt a distant pressure deep under the sea. His grip tightened. "Something is swimming in the dark," he muttered. The next morning, Batman met Nezu in a quiet UA office. Nezu sipped tea like the world wasn't on fire. Batman respected that kind of calm, even if it annoyed him. Cyborg stood beside Batman, arms crossed, face serious. Nezu listened as Cyborg explained what they found. Hidden breach tracking, containment plans, masked internal access, possible villain intrusion. Nezu's small paw tapped the table. "So the Commission is hiding information," he said, "and someone with clearance is leaking or being used." Batman's voice was flat. "Yes," he said. Nezu's eyes narrowed. "If you reveal this publicly, you will cause panic," he said. Batman didn't blink. "If we hide it," he replied, "villains build a bridge in the dark." Nezu hummed thoughtfully. "So we do neither," he said. Batman's head tilted. "Explain," he said. Nezu's voice stayed calm. "We build your sky scanner grid," he said, quietly, legally enough to survive. "And we investigate the leak without blowing up Hero Society." Batman's jaw moved. He didn't love it, but he could work with it. Cyborg nodded. "We can place signal sensors on rooftops," he said. "We can hide them as standard weather or communication tools." Nezu's ears lifted. "Good," he said. "And we place some on UA grounds, under my authority." Batman's voice was quiet. "And if the Commission demands access?" he asked. Nezu smiled politely. "Then they will need a warrant," he said. Batman almost smiled back. Almost. 2 days later, the side project began. It looked boring from the outside. A support truck, a few crates, some staff carrying equipment. Nothing dramatic. Batman and Cyborg moved like they were doing routine tech work, but each device they placed was a piece of a net. A sky net, but the honest kind. Cyborg mounted a small sensor under a rooftop ledge. It was the size of a lunchbox. It hummed softly. Batman watched the street below while Cyborg worked. He saw an HPSC patrol car pass by twice in 10 minutes. "They're watching," Batman said. Cyborg didn't look up. "Let them," he said. "I'm masking the signal." Batman's eyes narrowed. "They'll still feel it," he said. Cyborg nodded. "Yeah," he said. "And someone else will too." Batman's voice went hard. "Good," he said. "I want the thing that heard the doorbell to show its face." Cyborg finally looked at him. "Careful what you wish for," he said. Batman didn't answer. The equipment run took them to a new location by evening, a large facility on the edge of the bay, linked to support tech and hero gear testing. Clean walls, heavy security. The kind of place where public safety was an excuse for anything. Nezu had secured temporary access under UA cooperation. Officially. Unofficially, Batman expected traps. As they walked in, a staff guide smiled too brightly. "Welcome," she said. "Please don't touch restricted areas." Batman nodded as if he cared. Cyborg's eye glowed faintly. He could feel the building's network like a heartbeat. Then the heartbeat skipped. Cyborg froze. Batman's head snapped toward him. "What?" he asked. Cyborg's voice went low. "Signal spike," he said. "Above us." Batman looked up. The ceiling lights flickered. A sound rolled through the air like a deep hum. Every sensor Cyborg had placed in the city pulsed at once. Cyborg's eyes widened. "It's reacting," he said. "Something is responding to the grid." Batman's voice was tight. "Everyone out," he said. Too late. The air in the center of the testing hall bent inward. A small tear opened. Not huge like the first one. Small. Clean. Like a cut made with a sharp blade. Something slid out. It was not a person. It looked like a metal sphere the size of a motorcycle, with panels that shifted and opened like eyes. Thin arms unfolded. Too many joints. Too smooth. Lights ran along its body in patterns like thinking. It hovered without visible jets. People screamed. Security guards raised weapons. The sphere didn't roar. It didn't speak. It scanned. A thin beam swept across the room, touching people without burning them. Cyborg's voice went sharp. "It's mapping," he said. "Not attacking yet." Batman's eyes narrowed. "A probe," he said. The probe's panels shifted. A second beam shot out and touched a guard's support gear. The gear lights flickered. Then the gear shut off. The guard stumbled, confused. More screams. Batman moved fast, cloak flaring, tossing smoke pellets not at the probe, but between it and civilians. The probe adjusted. A beam swept through the smoke like it wasn't there. Cyborg raised his arm cannon. "I can hit it," he said. Batman's voice was flat. "Not if it detonates," he warned. "We don't know what it does." Cyborg's jaw clenched. "Then what?" he asked. Batman's answer was cold. "We stall," he said, "and we call the heavy hitters." Cyborg opened comms. "Clark," he said, voice urgent. "We have breach contact." Superman arrived in seconds. He dropped through the open roof hatch like a controlled meteor, landing between the probe and the crowd. The probe's beam hit his chest. It paused. Its panels shifted like it was surprised. Superman's eyes narrowed. He could feel the beam, not painful, but probing, like a hand trying to understand what he was made of. Wonder Woman landed beside him with a sharp clang of armor. Flash arrived next, skidding to a stop, looking around. "Okay," he said fast. "New robot ball. Great." Aizawa appeared at a side door with a small team, eyes sharp, scarf ready. The probe rotated. It scanned them all. Then it changed behavior. Its panels opened wider. Lights brightened. A pulse rolled out across the room. Every device with a quirk-based system flickered. Some shut down for a second. Some reversed settings. A door locked that shouldn't have. A fire suppression nozzle triggered with no fire, spraying foam into the air. People screamed again. Cyborg's voice was hard. "It's not just scanning," he said. "It's learning and messing with tech." Batman's eyes narrowed. "And it's doing it on purpose," he said. The probe fired a thin dart of light toward Flash. Flash vanished. The dart hit empty air. Flash reappeared behind the probe and tapped it with one finger like a joke. "Hey," he said. "No." The probe didn't swing a fist. It predicted. A panel snapped open and released a net of energy exactly where Flash was about to move. Flash's eyes widened. He dodged by an inch, skidding sideways, heart pounding. "Okay," Flash said, breathless. "It's guessing me." Cyborg's eye widened. "It's reading movement patterns," he said. "It's building a model." Flash stared at the probe. "I hate models," he muttered. Superman stepped forward slowly. "Everyone back," he ordered, calm and firm. "Clear the building." Aizawa shouted to staff and security. "Move! Now!" Wonder Woman took position near the civilians like a wall. Batman moved with Aizawa, not speaking, guiding evac routes with sharp gestures. The probe's beam swept again, this time locking onto Aizawa's eyes. Aizawa felt a chill. It was reading him too. Then the probe did something worse. It fired a small sphere that hit the floor and spread a thin layer of shimmering material, like liquid glass. The floor became slick and uneven. People slipped. Superman reacted instantly. He grabbed a falling worker with one hand and lifted him to safety. He moved others in quick, gentle bursts, but he could not move everyone at once without causing panic in tight spaces. This was the probe's advantage, not strength, chaos. Wonder Woman stepped onto the shimmering floor without slipping. Her boots held. She grabbed a railing, then yanked it free and slammed it down as a barrier to block the spread. Todoroki arrived outside with a student escort team and saw the hall through the open doors. His eyes widened at the probe. He raised a hand and froze the shimmering floor in a wide patch, locking it in place. The probe rotated to him. It fired a thin beam. Todoroki's ice cracked, not from heat, but from vibration. The probe was testing frequencies. Todoroki's jaw tightened. "It's trying to break my control," he muttered. Wonder Woman glanced at him, impressed. "Hold it," she said. Todoroki nodded once. "I can," he replied. Flash tried again, zigzagging, changing rhythm, changing speed. The probe tracked better each time. Flash's eyes widened as he realized the truth. "It's learning me," he said, voice tight. "Like, really fast." Cyborg's face hardened. "Then don't be predictable," he said. Flash blinked. "That's your advice?" he snapped. "Just be less me." Cyborg's mouth tightened. "Yes," he said. "Be less you for 10 seconds." Flash groaned. "Fine." He stopped. He stood still. Everyone stared at him like he'd gone insane. Flash held up a finger. "Wait," he said. "I'm thinking." Batman's eyes narrowed, but he didn't mock him. He waited. Flash took a slow breath, then sprinted, not at the probe. He sprinted around the room, grabbing random objects at super speed. A chair, a fire extinguisher, a roll of tape, a stack of metal trays. He set them down in a fast circle. Then he ran again, but this time he moved in strange patterns. Start, stop, reverse, spin, jump. The probe's panel snapped and aimed, confused. It fired nets into empty space again and again, missing because Flash was no longer following any normal path. Flash shouted, "Now!" Cyborg understood instantly. He fired a focused blast at the probe's underside, where Flash had pointed with his object circle. The blast didn't destroy it. It knocked it off balance. Superman moved in. He grabbed the probe with both hands. The probe pulsed. Superman felt a force push back, like a shield trying to snap his wrists. It didn't hurt him, but it could throw him through walls if he let it. Superman tightened his grip. He didn't crush. He held. Wonder Woman rushed in and slammed her shield into the probe's side, not to break it, but to pin it against Superman's hands. Batman shouted, "Victor! Now!" Cyborg stepped forward and placed his palm on the probe's panel. For a split second, Cyborg's system screamed. The probe tried to connect to him like a parasite. Cyborg's jaw clenched. "Not today," he growled. He pushed back with Mother Box tech. His eye flashed bright. The probe's lights flickered. Then it did something desperate. It opened a tiny tear behind itself, not big enough for a person, big enough for a core. A small glowing piece shot out of its back like a fleeing insect and vanished into the tear. Batman saw it. "It escaped," he snapped. Superman tightened his grip. "Then we finish this body," he said. He twisted. The probe's outer shell cracked with a loud snap. Panels fell away. Its beams died. It dropped to the floor with a heavy clang. Silence hit the hall. Cyborg staggered back a step, breathing hard. "It got away," he repeated, voice grim. "A core piece. It took Data." Batman's eyes were cold. "Which means it came for Data," he said. "Not a win." Aizawa's eyes narrowed. "And it used our tech," he said. "It knew how." Wonder Woman looked at the broken probe. "Then it has been watching," she said. Superman's gaze lifted to the ceiling where the small tear had closed. "And now it will report," he said quietly. Outside, the facility's security team swarmed. HPSC arrived fast, like they had been waiting. The commissioner stepped through the doors, eyes sharp, taking in the broken probe, the damage, the crowd of shaken workers. Her gaze landed on the probe's remains like it was treasure. "What is that?" she demanded. Cyborg stepped forward. "A breach probe," he said. "From beyond this world." The commissioner's eyes flashed. "Then it is a public safety asset," she said. "It will be transferred to commission custody." Batman's voice cut in, flat and dangerous. "No," he said. The commissioner turned to him. "You are unlicensed," she said. "You have no authority here." Batman stepped closer, just a little. "And you have no idea what you're holding," he replied. Her smile thinned. "We will study it," she said. "We will learn to defend ourselves." Superman stepped between them, calm but firm. "If you poke it the wrong way," he warned, "you may open another tear inside your own building." The commissioner's eyes narrowed. "And if we do nothing," she replied, "we remain helpless." Wonder Woman's voice was steady. "You are not helpless," she said. "You have heroes. You have courage. You do not need chains to be strong." The commissioner ignored her and motioned to agents. "Take it," she ordered. Agents moved toward the probe. Batman's hand twitched toward his belt. Aizawa stepped forward sharply. "Stop," he snapped. "This happened under UA cooperative oversight. Evidence remains with UA. Until a formal review." The commissioner's eyes hardened. "Erase her head," she said, voice cold. "You are overreaching." Aizawa's eyes narrowed. "And you are grabbing," he replied. For a moment, the air felt like it could snap. Then Superman spoke, and his voice carried in a way that made even angry people listen. "We can share information," he said. "We can cooperate. But if you take this by force right now, you prove our worst fear about you." The commissioner stared at him. Then she did something Batman did not expect. She paused. Her eyes shifted to the crowd of workers, to cameras, to the fact that a public fight here would look bad. She lowered her hand slowly. "Fine," she said. "For now. But understand this. We will not let a second world decide our fate." She turned and walked out, leaving the threat hanging in the air like smoke. Flash watched her go and whispered to Wonder Woman, "Did we just win an argument?" Wonder Woman answered quietly, "No," she said. "We delayed it." That night, Aquaman returned to the pier. The ocean was louder now, not in sound, in feeling. He stepped into the water up to his knees and closed his eyes. He reached out with his senses. Deep below, something tugged again, like a hook catching the edge of the world. Aquaman's grip tightened on his trident. "This isn't your sea," he murmured into the dark, "and you don't get to pull it." Far out on the water, a faint ripple moved against the natural tide. Aquaman opened his eyes. He stared. and for the first time since arriving in this universe, he felt something like fear. Not for himself, for the planet. Back at UA, Nezu read the report summaries and felt his mind racing. The probe was proof. Proof that the breach was not a one-time accident. Proof that something on the other side could send tools through. Proof that villains were not the only danger. He looked at Batman and Cyborg across the table. "You built the net," Nezu said. Cyborg nodded. "We did," he replied, "and it worked." Batman's voice was quiet. "It worked too well," he said. "It called something." Superman stood by the window again, hands behind his back, looking out at a city that didn't know if it wanted him. "They will come again," Superman said. Aizawa crossed his arms. "And our system will try to control you harder," he said. Wonder Woman's eyes narrowed. "Then you must choose," she said to Aizawa. "Do you want safety that is only a cage, or safety that is trust?" Aizawa didn't answer right away. He thought of the hospital, the kids. The commission line at the door. He finally spoke, voice rough. "I want kids alive," he said. "I don't care what slogan that fits into." Superman nodded once, like he respected that honesty more than any speech. Nezu set down his tea. "From this moment," Nezu said calmly, "this anomaly is not a rumor. It is a permanent problem." Batman's eyes were cold. "And a permanent opportunity," he said. Nezu's ears tilted. "For villains," he agreed. Cyborg's eye flickered. "And for whoever sent that probe," he said. "They now know quirks exist. They now know heroes exist. They now know gods exist." Flash rubbed his face. "Stop saying gods," he muttered. Batman didn't look at him. "They will treat you like one," Batman said, "whether you want it or not." Superman's voice was quiet. "Then we show them we're not," he said. Outside, the city lights flickered as if nothing had changed. But somewhere in the dark, a stolen probe core carried data away through a tiny tear, and the universe on the other side listened closely. 2 weeks passed. The streets stopped screaming every day, but the city did not feel calm. It felt like a person holding their breath. Izuku Midoriya noticed it in small ways. People looked up more. People flinched at loud sounds. News screens played the same clips again and again. The red blur moving buses. The armored woman standing like a wall. The man in blue lifting broken concrete like it was foam. And the comments never stopped. Some people called them saviors. Some people called them monsters. Some people called them illegal heroes. Midoriya sat in the dorm common room with his notebook open. He tried to write about power and control. But his pen kept drifting to the same line. If the strongest hero can be treated like a threat, what happens to everyone else? Bakugo stomped past the TV with a scowl. "They're still talking about them," he snapped. "Like we're not even here." Uraraka looked worried. "It's not like that," she said softly. "People are just scared." Bakugo pointed at the screen as a reporter said the words, "Public safety." "They're scared, and they're using it," he growled. Todoroki stood by the window, arms crossed, eyes on the sky. "Fear makes systems tighten," he said quietly. Midoriya swallowed. He wanted to argue. He wanted to say heroes could fix it. But he had watched the hospital standoff. He had seen a line of agents block a doorway while kids cried inside. Aizawa walked past the common room entrance and didn't stop. His eyes were more tired than usual. His scarf dragged lower, like he hadn't slept right in days. Midoriya stood. "I'm going to study," he said, even though he wasn't sure he could. He walked down the hall and caught a glimpse of the secure wing where the League stayed when they weren't on supervised missions. The door was closed. But Midoriya could hear voices through the wall sometimes. Not all the words, just the tone. It sounded like adults carrying heavy things. Clark stood on a quiet training field at dawn, far from cameras. The sky was pale and cold. The grass was wet. He moved slowly through control drills, not because he needed practice to lift things, but because he needed practice to stop. He practiced turning his strength down to human gentle. He practiced walking without cracking the ground. He practiced hearing distant sounds without listening to private lives. It was harder here. In his world, people expected him to be different. Here, people wanted him to fit into a system. They wanted him to be measured, labeled, tracked, and used. Wonder Woman watched him from the edge of the field, arms folded. "You are restless," she said. Clark exhaled. "I hate being the story," he admitted. Diana nodded once. "So do I," she said. "But we don't get to choose when the world needs an example." Clark looked at her. "Do you think we're helping?" he asked. Diana's eyes stayed steady. "We are saving lives," she said. "That is help." Clark's jaw tightened. "And we're making their fear grow," he said. Diana stepped closer. "Fear is already here," she said. "We did not create it. We only revealed it." Clark's calm buzzed in his ear. Cyborg's voice came through, low and urgent. "Clark, we have a message." Clark's stomach tightened. "From who?" he asked. Cyborg paused for half a beat, like he hated the answer. "Not your villains," Cyborg said. "Not their government. Something else." Clark's eyes narrowed. "Where are you?" he asked. "Command room," Cyborg answered. "Now." Clark looked at Diana. She already understood. She nodded once, and they moved. Nezu sat at the head of the table as if nothing surprised him anymore. Aizawa stood against the wall, arms crossed. All Might sat a little apart, shoulders smaller, eyes sharp. Batman was in the corner again. Flash sat with a bottle of water and a tired face. Aquaman stood near the window, staring at the distant bay, as if he could feel it through glass. Cyborg projected a pattern onto the wall. It wasn't words. It wasn't a video. It was a set of pulses. Clean. Repeating. Like a person knocking on a door in a way that could be understood in any language. Cyborg's voice was tense. "It wrote our sky sensor grid," he said. "It didn't come from local networks. It came from the breach space itself." Batman's eyes narrowed. "So it used the crack between worlds," he said. Cyborg nodded. "And it learned our pattern fast," he said. "It's smart." Flash rubbed his forehead. "Please tell me this is not a space god," he muttered. Batman didn't look at him. "It's at least a space something," he said. Clark watched the pulse pattern and felt a familiar cold in his gut. "What does it want?" he asked. Cyborg clicked another screen open. The pulses shifted, and his software translated them into a simple message, as if the sender had built it for basic understanding. "We heard you. You are loud. Trade." Aizawa's eyes narrowed. "Trade what?" he asked. Cyborg's jaw tightened. "It sent the next line," he said. "Quirk patterns. Mother box patterns. In return, closed door, safe world." The room went still. All Might's face hardened. "It wants our power," he said. Clark's voice went low. "And it offers safety," he said. Batman's answer was instant. "It's not an offer," he said. "It's a threat shaped like a deal." Diana leaned forward, eyes fierce. "We do not bargain with predators," she said. Aquaman finally turned from the window. His voice was rough. "It's pulling the sea," he said. "I felt it. Whatever it is, it's already touching this world." Nezu's small paw tapped the table. "This is the danger of being noticed," he said calmly. Flash stared at the message and swallowed. "So we either give it what it wants," he said, or we wait for it to come take it." Batman's eyes flicked to Cyborg. "Can you block the net?" he asked. Cyborg shook his head slowly. "Not fully," he said. "It can find cracks. It can ride weird paths. Blocking might slow it, but it won't erase us." Aizawa's voice turned sharp. "Then we destroy the bridge," he said. "We stop villains from building a stable tear." Batman nodded once. "That's already happening," he said. Nezu's ears lifted. "Explain," he said. Batman's voice was flat. "Someone inside the Commission network is still moving breach data," he said. Cyborg traced a device signature. "It's active again." Cyborg's eye flashed. "And it pinged near the Bay facilities," he said. "Near the place where the probe appeared." Aquaman's grip tightened on his trident. "That's where the pull is," he said. Clark felt the pieces lock together in his mind. A stable tear wouldn't just open in the sky. It could open in the ocean, where pressure and darkness could hide it. It could open where people wouldn't see until it was too late. All Might's voice was quiet. "They will try to use this fear to tighten chains," he said. Aizawa glanced at him, then back to the message on the wall. Clark spoke carefully. "We don't give them what they want," he said. "Not the cosmic thing. Not all for one. Not the Commission." Batman's eyes narrowed slightly, like he was waiting for the "but." Clark continued. "But we also don't let pride get people killed," he said. "If stopping the bridge means we break rules that block rescue, we break them." The room went still again. Nezu's gaze sharpened. "That choice," he said, "will have consequences." Clark nodded. "I know," he said. Batman's voice was low. "Then we choose the consequences we can live with," he said. Flash raised a hand weakly. "Can we choose the consequence where nobody makes a t-shirt about this?" he asked. Nobody laughed. Not at first. Then Diana looked at him, confused. "A shirt," she repeated. Flash sighed. "It's a long story," he said. Even Aizawa's mouth twitched, just barely, then went flat again. Nezu made the decision. "We move tonight," he said. "Quietly. Minimal cameras. The goal is the anchor device, not a public fight." Aizawa nodded once. "My team will go," he said. Endeavor's name came up on comms as an option. The Commission would insist he be included, but he was unpredictable in politics and reliable in battle. Nezu hesitated, then said, "We will inform Endeavor, not the Commission." Batman's voice was blunt. "They'll find out," he said. Nezu's calm didn't break. "They always do," he replied. All for One watched the new message feed with a gentle smile. A cosmic traitor. Interesting. He didn't fear it. He respected it. There was a difference. He turned his attention to a second screen, where a Bay facility map glowed with highlighted rooms. He spoke softly. "Tamura," he said. Shigaraki's face appeared, eyes hungry. "Yeah," Shigaraki said. "Are we doing it?" All for One's voice stayed smooth. "Yes," he said. "Tonight. But remember, we do not need to win. We need to shape." Shigaraki grinned. "We shape by breaking," he said. All for One chuckled softly. "Sometimes," he agreed, "and sometimes we shape by offering." Shigaraki's grin widened. "An offer to the flying man," he guessed. All for One's eyes gleamed. "To the team," he said. "A way home. A way to stop fear. A way to end this quickly." Shigaraki leaned in. "And the price," he said. All for One's smile deepened. "Their cooperation," he said, "or their refusal, on camera, in front of frightened citizens." Shigaraki laughed. "Either way," he said, "we win something." All for One leaned back. "Now," he said quietly, "let us build a door." The Bay facility looked calm from the outside. Clean lights, security gates, a few parked trucks. Batman didn't trust calm. He moved through shadows with Aizawa. Their pace matched. It was strange, walking beside someone who also used quiet like a weapon. "You're not like most," Aizawa said quietly. Batman didn't look at him. "Neither are you," he replied. Cyborg walked behind them, scanning. Flash was ahead and behind at the same time, popping in and out to check corners, and then returning, trying hard not to make jokes because the air felt too sharp. Clark and Diana stayed higher, hidden by distance and darkness, ready to drop in if things went loud. Aquaman moved toward the waterline, eyes fixed on the bay. He didn't need a scanner to feel it. He could feel the pull like a headache in the ocean. "There," Aquaman murmured. Far out, a spot on the water moved wrong, a circle of ripples that didn't match wind or tide. Aquaman raised his trident. Cyborg's voice came through the comm. "I see a power draw beneath the main platform," he said. "Something heavy is running." Batman's eyes narrowed. "Anchor," he said. They moved. The first sign of trouble wasn't an alarm. It was a manhole cover shifting on its own near the side entrance. Batman's hand snapped up. "Stop," he whispered. Aizawa's eyes locked. His quirk wasn't a flashlight. It didn't scan. But his instincts were sharp. The manhole cover lifted. Purple mist spilled out. Kurogiri rose like smoke, becoming a person. Behind him, Shigaraki stepped out with a grin that looked too happy for a quiet night. "Found you," Shigaraki said. Flash groaned into the comm. "Of course he's here," he muttered. "Why wouldn't he be?" Aizawa's scarf snapped out like a whip. Shigaraki laughed and spread his fingers, ready to touch ground. Aizawa's eyes burned bright. Shigaraki's decay cut off. Shigaraki blinked, annoyed. "Ugh," he said. "You're the worst." Kurogiri's mist surged, trying to separate them. Batman threw a device. It burst into a hard foam wall, blocking the mist's direct path and forcing it to spread wider. "Keep him seen," Batman said to Aizawa. "Don't blink." "Don't get cocky," Aizawa snapped back. "If he touches anything, it spreads." Shigaraki took a step sideways, trying to angle around Aizawa's gaze. Kurogiri shifted too, trying to block line of sight with fog. Cyborg's eye flashed. "More movement," he warned. "Inside the building." Then the facility lights flickered. The air hummed. A circle of metal panels rose from the floor of the bay platform, like a flower opening. The anchor. It wasn't beautiful. It was clean and wrong. It looked like parts of the probe's design mixed with local hero tech. It pulsed with energy that made the air vibrate. Clark felt it from above like a pressure against his skin. He dropped. He landed on the platform with a controlled impact, cape snapping, eyes locked on the anchor. Diana landed beside him, shield raised. Cameras turned on. Not normal security cameras. These were placed with care, angled for faces, angled for drama. Clark's stomach tightened. "They're filming," he said quietly. Batman's voice came in cold. "They want a public moment," he said. "Don't give them the one they want." Shigaraki laughed, hearing it all like this was a stage. "Too late," he called. "Welcome to the show." Clark stepped forward toward the anchor. A voice spoke from a speaker mounted on the platform. Not a local voice, not the cosmic pulses. A calm, human voice, smooth like a knife wrapped in silk. "All so tense," All for One said. Clark's eyes narrowed. "Show yourself," he said. A screen flickered on. It showed an old man's silhouette, face partly hidden by darkness. "Not yet," All for One replied. "You are new here. You don't understand how this world breaks." Diana's voice was sharp. "You used children as bait," she said. "You already broke it." All for One chuckled softly. "And yet," he said, "you still came to save it." Clark didn't answer. He focused on the anchor. Cyborg's voice came through, tight. The anchor is using stolen probe patterns, he said. It's trying to stabilize a small tear under the platform. Aquaman's voice was rough. It's in the water, he said. I can feel it. Clark's eyes sharpened. Arthur, go, he said. Aquaman didn't hesitate. He dove off the platform into the bay like a stone. Flash looked over the edge and muttered, "He makes that look so cool." Cyborg stepped forward, hands up. "I can shut it down," he said, "but I need time." Batman's voice was sharp. "Then we buy time," he said. Shigaraki lunged. He couldn't use decay under Aizawa's eyes, but he could still fight. He swung wild and fast, trying to force Aizawa to blink. Aizawa's scarf wrapped around Shigaraki's wrist and yanked. Shigaraki stumbled. Batman dropped in behind Shigaraki and struck pressure points, not to knock him out. Shigaraki was too tough for that, but to disrupt his balance. Shigaraki snarled. "You!" he hissed, swinging toward Batman. Batman moved like he had done this 1,000 times. He didn't try to trade power. He dodged, redirected, and kept Shigaraki's hands away from the ground. Diana moved to help, but Clark held up a hand. "Cyborg needs space," Clark said. Diana's jaw tightened, but she understood. Clark turned to the anchor. He could tear it out of the platform in 1 second, but he felt the energy pattern. He heard the vibration. If he ripped it wrong, he could trigger a tear wider, faster. So he didn't smash. He steadied. He placed his hands on the anchor's outer ring, like holding a spinning wheel, and used controlled strength to keep it from expanding. Cyborg stepped in and pressed his palms to a panel. His eye blazed bright as his systems fought the anchor's code. "Come on," Cyborg growled. "Come on." The anchor pulsed. A thin line of darkness opened beneath it, visible for a moment like the ocean had become a window. Clark felt cold air rise from it. Not wind, elsewhere. And in that cold, he heard a new message, simple and clear, riding the open crack. "Trade. Now." Flash froze. "That's the space thing," he whispered. Cyborg's voice went tight. "It's responding," he said. "The anchor is a door handle." All for One's voice came again, smooth and pleased. "You see," he said, "even the universe wants what you carry." Clark's eyes hardened. "I'm not giving anyone this world," he said. All for One sighed like he was disappointed. "Then I will offer you something smaller," he said. A second screen flickered on. It showed a glowing circle, a stable image of a starry sky that looked like Clark's home. Flash's breath caught. "Is that?" he started. Cyborg's voice went low. "That's a map," he said. "He's showing a route." All for One's tone turned gentle. "You want to go home," he said. "I can help you. Give me the Metal One's core. Give me the knowledge of your strange box. And I close this door behind you." Clark's jaw tightened. He didn't look at Cyborg because he didn't need to. The answer was already inside him. "No," Clark said. All for One's voice stayed soft. "You would stay," he said, "and endure hatred, fear, and chains, rather than pay one price." Clark's voice was steady. "Cyborg isn't a price," he said. "He's a person." For a beat, even Shigaraki stopped moving, as if the words annoyed him. All for One chuckled. "That is the flaw," he said. "You treat people like they matter." Clark's eyes narrowed. "They do," he said. Diana stepped forward, voice like steel. "Your offers are poison," she said. All for One's tone shifted, almost bored. "Then we do it the hard way," he said. The anchor pulsed brighter. Under the platform, the water churned. Aquaman surfaced with a roar, water streaming off his hair and armor. "It's under us," he shouted. "A device in the seabed. It's pulling the tide and feeding the door." Clark's eyes sharpened. "Can you break it?" he asked. Aquaman shook his head, angry. Not alone, he said. It's wrapped in metal and energy. Clark didn't hesitate. I'm coming, he said. Diana's eyes widened. Clark. Clark's voice was calm but firm. Hold the platform, he said. Protect Victor. He looked at Flash. Barry, clear civilians and staff, he ordered. Flash saluted like he was trying to turn fear into routine. On it, he said, then vanished. Clark dove into the bay. The cold water wrapped around him, but it didn't slow him. He shot downward like a missile with control, following Aquaman's lead. Below, the seabed glowed with a ring of metal panels, half buried, humming like a living thing. It looked like the probe's design, but heavier, anchored into Earth. And in the center, a thin line of darkness shimmered, opening and closing like an eye. Aquaman pointed. His face was furious. There, he said. Clark reached out and gripped the ring. The ring fought back, not with muscles, with force, like a magnet pushing away. Clark tightened his grip and held it steady. Aquaman slammed his trident into the ring's core seam, trying to pry it open. Metal screamed underwater. On the platform above, Cyborg shouted through comms, voice strained. I'm close, he yelled, but it's trying to self-lock. Batman's voice cut in, sharp. Victor, you have 10 seconds before Shigaraki breaks Aizawa's line, he warned. Aizawa's eyes burned. Sweat ran down his face. He refused to blink. Shigaraki kept twisting, ducking, trying to force a break. Batman took hits he didn't need to take, just to keep Shigaraki's hands away from the ground. Diana stepped in and blocked a wild swing with her shield. The impact rang across the platform. Shigaraki hissed, angry. Stop standing there, he spat at her. Fight like you mean it. Diana's eyes were cold. I am, she said. She struck with speed and skill, not to kill, but to end the fight. A clean hit to the jaw, a sweep to the legs, a shield slammed to pin him for a second. Shigaraki snarled and shoved, rage overflowing. Kurogiri's mist surged, trying to warp Shigaraki away from Aizawa's stare and bring him behind Cyborg. Batman threw a device into the mist. It burst into a bright flash. Kurogiri's mist recoiled, disrupted. Batman's voice went low. Not today, he said. Underwater. Clark felt the seabed device pulse again, trying to open wider. He didn't have time for careful. He made a choice. He used heat vision, not as a beam of destruction, but as a precise tool. He cut through the outer ring's support braces in clean lines, like slicing bolts. Aquaman's eyes widened. You can do that underwater, he muttered. Clark didn't answer. He focused. The ring loosened. Aquaman drove his trident into the gap and ripped. The device cracked. The line of darkness in the center shuddered like it was choking. Above, Cyborg shouted, "Now!" and slammed both palms onto the anchor's main panel. His mother box tech surged like a counter-signal. The anchor screamed in light. The cosmic message hit again, sharp and hungry. Trade. Now. Cyborg gritted his teeth. No, he growled. You don't get to take? The anchor's light flickered. Then it died. Underwater, the seabed device went dark at the same moment. The line of darkness snapped shut like a mouth closing. The bay water calmed, but only after one last violent churn. Clark rose back to the surface with Aquaman, water streaming off them both, and shot back onto the platform. Cyborg staggered back, breathing hard, smoke curling from a scorched panel near his hands. Clark grabbed him by the shoulders gently. You okay? He asked. Cyborg nodded, grim. I'm intact, he said. But it pushed back. Batman's voice was sharp. Shigaraki, he warned. Shigaraki had recovered and was laughing again, but the laugh sounded angrier now. You closed the door, Shigaraki said. Cute. Aizawa finally blinked, just once, because his eyes were burning. That was enough. Shigaraki's decay surged. His hand slapped onto the platform. Decay raced outward like a wave, chewing through metal. Clark's eyes widened. Diana moved instantly, shield down. She slammed it into the platform and dug it into a seam, creating a break line. The decay hit the shield edge and split, forced to crawl around. Batman hooked Shigaraki's arm with a cable and yanked, trying to pull him off the platform surface. Shigaraki roared and fought back. Clark moved. He didn't punch Shigaraki into the ocean. He didn't break bones. He grabbed Shigaraki from behind, lifting him straight up so his hands couldn't touch anything, like lifting a dangerous animal away from a crowd. Shigaraki twisted, furious. His fingers clawed the air. Clark held him steady, jaw clenched. "It ends," Clark said, voice low. Shigaraki laughed in his face. "No, it doesn't," he spat. "You're here now." "You're part of it." Kurogiri's mist surged again, reaching up like hands. Batman shouted, "Clark!" Clark felt the mist wrap around Shigaraki's legs. He couldn't stop it without harming Shigaraki more than he wanted. Kurogiri pulled. Shigaraki vanished into the mist midair, laughing as he went. The mist closed. Silence hit the platform. Only the soft crackle of damaged metal remained. Clark lowered his hand slowly, staring at empty air where Shigaraki had been. Batman's voice was cold. "He got away," he said. Cyborg wiped his mouth, grim. "But the anchor is down," he said. "The door handle is broken." Aquaman stared at the bay water, face hard. "For now," he said. Aizawa sank to one knee, breathing hard, eyes red. He looked up at Clark and Diana and Batman, then at the ruined anchor. He didn't thank them with big words. He just said, "Kids didn't die tonight." Clark nodded once. "That's the point," he replied. Then sirens blared in the distance, not for villains, for politics. HPSC vehicles rolled onto the Bay Road. Floodlights hit the platform. Cameras followed. The commissioner stepped out, face controlled, eyes sharp. Her gaze swept across the destroyed anchor, the damaged facility, the heroes standing together. Her eyes landed on Clark. "You acted without authorization," she said, voice loud enough for microphones. Clark didn't flinch. "We stopped a breach device," he said. "Your system was compromised." The commissioner's eyes narrowed. "You have no proof," she said. Batman stepped forward, voice flat. "We do," he said. The commissioner turned to him. "And you are," she said sharply. Batman's gaze didn't move. "Someone who doesn't like kids is bait," he replied. The commissioner's mouth tightened. "You are not above law," she said to all of them. Clark's voice stayed calm. "Then make a law that saves people," he said. "Not one that blocks doors." The cameras caught everything. Nezu had warned him. Consequences. Clark looked at the commissioner and made his choice anyway. He spoke clearly, steady and simple, so even a child watching could understand. "We are not from your world," Clark said. "We did not come here to take power. We came here by accident, and we will help until this danger is gone." People murmured. Phones rose higher. The commissioner's eyes sharpened. "Your names," she demanded. "Your identities." Clark's gaze held steady. "Our hero names are enough," he said. Diana lifted her chin. "We do not give strangers our private lives," she said. "Not when you treat our help like a crime." Flash muttered under his breath. "Also, I don't want my mom seeing the merch." Cyborg looked at Flash like he might laugh and cry at once. Batman didn't speak. His silence was its own answer. The commissioner's smile was thin. "Then you will remain a problem," she said. Nezu's voice came through Aizawa's calm and sharp. "Commissioner," Nezu said, patched into the public channel with permission he didn't technically have. "If you move against them tonight, You move against UA and the heroes who stood here." The commissioner paused, just long enough for cameras to see it. She looked at the destroyed anchor again. She could not pretend nothing happened. She could not pretend the danger was gone. She lowered her hand slowly. "Temporary terms," she said, voice tight. "You will cooperate with designated operations. You will be observed, and you will not build private systems without oversight." Batman's eyes narrowed, but he didn't speak. Clark answered. "We will cooperate with rescue," he said. "We will not cooperate with cages." The commissioner's gaze hardened, but she didn't order an arrest. Not tonight. She turned away, because the story was too big to force into a clean ending. And that was the new truth. The League had become part of this world's future, not by permission, by choice. Later, UA felt quiet in a way that almost hurt. The next day, Nezu held a controlled briefing. No secret identities, no personal details, just a clear, simple statement. The visitors were from another world. They were cooperating with UA and pro-heroes to stop a breach threat. And the public should follow evacuation guidance like always. Some people believed it, some people didn't. But the city stopped pretending it was just a quirk incident. Midoriya watched the briefing from the dorm lounge with his classmates. Kaminari whispered, "So, multiverse is real." Bakugo scoffed. "Whatever," he said, but his eyes stayed glued to the screen. Todoroki's voice was quiet. "This changes everything," he said. Midoriya held his notebook tight. He didn't feel excited. He felt responsible. Because now, being a hero didn't just mean stopping villains. It meant standing in the space between fear and control, and choosing people anyway. A week later, the Skynet sensors hummed softly from rooftops and quiet corners. Cyborg checked the readings every night. He didn't sleep much. He never said it out loud. But he was scared of missing the next knock. Batman worked with Nezu and Aizawa in a tight triangle of trust that still had sharp edges. He shared proof carefully, not to burn the system down, but to protect kids who would never know his name. Diana trained with a small group of UA students by invitation only. She didn't teach them to be gods. She taught them to stand when fear told them to kneel. Aquaman returned to the bay often. He listened to the sea like it was a friend, with a warning voice. Flash tried to avoid the internet. He failed. One morning, he walked into a hallway and saw a new poster taped up. Fastest hero ranking, Flash versus Ida. Flash stared at it for a full 5 seconds, then turned slowly to look at Ida. Ida adjusted his glasses, face red. "I did not approve this," he said sharply. Flash nodded, dead serious. "I believe you," he said, "because this is a crime." For the first time in weeks, Midoriya laughed out loud. Even Aizawa, passing by, made a sound that might have been a short, tired chuckle. It didn't fix the world, but it made the weight feel carryable for a moment. All Might met Clark on the training field at dusk, when the sky was orange and the air was cool. No cameras, no crowds, just two symbols standing like regular men. All Might's voice was quiet. "You did the right thing," he said. Clark looked at him. "I'm not sure," he admitted. All Might nodded. "That feeling never leaves," he said. "If it does, you should worry." Clark exhaled slowly. "They want control," he said. "They want to make heroes into tools." All Might's eyes softened. "They fear losing peace," he said. "And they forget peace is not built with chains. It is built with trust." Clark stared at the field where students trained every day. "Trust is slow," he said. All Might smiled, small but real. "Yes," he said. "But it lasts longer than fear." Clark nodded once. He looked up at the sky. It was normal now. No tear, no bright wound. But he didn't feel safe. He felt ready. Behind them, in a quiet office, Batman opened a file on a secure device. The title was simple. MHA World Trust. He paused. Then he typed a new line. Worth defending. He closed the file and stood in the dark for a moment, listening to the building's quiet. Outside, the world argued and planned and feared and hoped. Inside, heroes kept doing the one thing that mattered. Saving people. Even when the rules shook. Even when the sky remembered their names.